Hi, welcome to Automotive Show EKG Canadian Enthusiast. Before start the show, I want to hit the like button and subscribe to my show. Now let's get started. Today on the show, we're going to talk about major motor news and a major comparison test on luxury grand tourers, which is best Rolls Royce or Bentley. So now let's get started. Now, of course, as you all know, let's start with the motor news first. Let's start with motor news first. Dodge has announced the return of the Dodge Journey. Now this Dodge Journey is not based on any product from Dodge or Chrysler, just to report. It's based on the Chinese compact SUV, the GAC GS4. Now it will be only sold in the South American markets, of course, but I want to inform you because it's a well-known nameplate. 5-door SUV, 5 seats, front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, 6-speed auto, 3 trim levels, SXT, Sport and GT. Engine options 1.5 litre 4-cylinder turbocharged with 169 horsepower, which is not so bad. Price tags, I will think the price will start around $24,000 to all the way to 28K. So the Dodge Journey is back, but not in the way you're expecting. So if you're in South America, there's nothing to think about. It's a very good option indeed. Now moving on from there, Rivian has now finally introduced their full EV full-size pickup. I call them full-size luxury pickups because of their comfort. But since they are now launched, Rivian claims it's in between a mid-size and a full-size luxury pickup. So this is a Ford Ranger competitor and a F-150 Lightning competitor. So it depends between how do you want to see it. Specs: 5-door pickup, 5 seats, 4-wheel drive, 1-speed fixed transmissions, trim levels, Explorer trim, and the Launch Edition. In terms of specs, in terms of drivetrain, dual electric motors with 800 horsepower and 110 miles per hour electronically limited. Again, 800 horsepower is a lot, but a GMC Yamaha is more powerful. But overall, good performance. It looks impressive, and I see in the interior as well. It looks very high-end, very premium, very luxurious, but nowhere near good as an internal combustion luxury pickup like a Ram or a Ford. But it's still very impressive. But very impressive indeed. Very impressive indeed. But very impressive. Price tag will be starting from $67,000 to all the way to $76,000. So can't wait to see that. Moving on from that, BYD has announced the launch of their new full EV subcompact luxury car. Now it was launched in the Shanghai Auto Show, but now I'm talking about this vehicle right now. Its name is the BYD Dolphin. Now don't get offended by the names. Chinese translations are pretty weird. So this says Dolphin. We don't know what this is called in Chinese. So yeah. 5-door hatch, front wheel drive, one fixed speed transmission, and the model I'm talking about is a range topping Fashion Edition, somehow called Fashion Edition. And also talking the most expensive drivetrain option, which is a single electric motor with 174 horsepower, which is not so bad if I were to be brutally honest for an EV subcompact luxury car. Prices for this, I've seen the exterior of it. It's very stylish, very good looking, and you can't even think it's Chinese anymore. It's very good looking. In terms of interior, massive infotainment system, good interior, good material quality. I've seen the interior, I've seen the reviews in the blog. Very impressive as well. Overall, I must say I'm impressed. Price tag will be, this particular model, the range topper, will cost $19,000. So that's cheap for what you are getting indeed. Nissan has launched the Nissan Townstar, which is a version of the Renault Kangoo. I'm talking about the passenger model, which has 7 seats, of course. 5-door van, 7 seats, front wheel drive, 7-speed EDCT gearbox, or a 1-speed fixed transmission, which is for the full electric EV model, which comes with a single electric motor with 122 horsepower. And the petrol 1.3 litre engine is available with 130 horsepower. Now prices wise, I would think this will start around $20,000 to go all the way to 30 plus grand. Again, the Townstar is the same as the Kangoo, but the difference is that the Townstar gets Nissan inspired exterior and Nissan inspired interior touches. That's the difference, but I tell you the Nissan is the better option indeed. So moving on from that, let's talk about the GMC Yukon and the Yukon XL, 5th and 4th generation variants. Now they get updated infotainment systems, updated suspension, and you can have the 6.2 liter V8 now in the RST trim. Now you can have the 6.2 liter V8 option even in the SLE trim. So that's fairly impressive. 5-door SUV, 9 seats or 8 seats, 4-wheel drive, 10-speed auto, trim levels SLE, SLT, AT4 and Denali. Prices will start from $53,000 to all the way to $71,000. Very good pricing for such a luxurious SUV. Engine options: inline 6 turbo diesel, 277 horsepower, 5.3 V8, 355 horsepower and 6.2 liter V8 with 420 horsepower. So no surprises there. Moving on from that to the 12th generation Chevy Suburban. It's also getting big updates this time around. I'm only going to talk about certain trim levels such as the LT trim and above. Prices starts from $54,000 to all the way to $74,000. 5 SUV, 9 seats, 4-wheel drive, 10-speed auto, LT, RST, Z71, Premier iCountry. Now you can have the 6.2 liter V8 on the trims levels up to RST. So that's more of a taste of choice. You can have the big 6.2 even in the RST trim. That's very impressive. And you can get the RST with air suspension. So it's a very good option. And in fact, I think there is no need to buy the high country trim at this point. Just go for the RST. Now, of course, from that onwards, moving on to the Chevy Tahoe. The Tahoe also gets very much similar updates as the Suburban. The Tahoe, 5-door SUV, 8 seats, 4-wheel drive, 10-speed auto, then of course 10-speed auto, LT, RST, Z7, Premier and iCountry. There are trim levels that lesser than LT, but I will only talk about LT and above. You know me. I won't talk about trim levels that people actually buy, that people actually end up buying. So same engine options as the Suburban. However, prices is the difference. Starts from, now this particular LT and above starts from $56,000 to all the way to $72,000. Remember, the Suburban costs $74,000 in range topping form because of the iconic nature of the name of the Suburban, and plus it's really, really big. There was a time when the Suburban was the biggest luxury SUV on the road. So there's a lot of history and heritage in the Suburban indeed. So moving on from that, let's get to the comparison test, because I've been waiting for do this. Today on the comparison test, we're going to compare the best luxury Grand Tourer for the money you can buy. The choices that are contesting are the Rolls-Royce Wraith, Rolls-Royce Dawn and the Continental GT. Just to announce, now let's start the ones that are competing. Now, of course, the Rolls-Royce Wraith I'm talking about is in North American spec. So if I'm not talking about black badge spec, then this is in North American spec I'm talking about. So every comparison is done through North American spec. So 2-door coupe, rear wheel drive, 5 seats, standard trims, and of course powered by a 6.6 liter twin turbo V12, 624 horsepower and 155 miles per hour. Price tag $343,000. Now, just to report, the Rolls-Royce Wraith is about to go out of production, with a successor coming around 2023-2024 as an EV successor. The Dawn, this is a North American spec, not European spec, 2-door to top, 5 seats, rear wheel drive, 8-speed auto, 6.6 twin turbo V12 with 563 horsepower, 155 miles per hour, which is very, very impressive. And this is also in North American spec. Price tag $359,000. Of course, that's very impressive. The Bentley, now of course, the Bentley Continental GT that I am taking, that I'm going to talk about, is the Continental GT Speed in coupe form, 2-door coupe, 5 seats, all-wheel drive, 8-speed TCT, and of course, powered by the range-topping 6-liter twin-turbo W12 with 650 horsepower and 208 miles per hour. So, price tag $320,000. So, good performance, good price. But end of the day, I tell you what are the categories. Now, there are two ways I judge. Now, there are overall results that judge by number of points, and there's something called the host's own option, which is opinion. That means my personal opinion, which you should buy, that is also counted. Now, the result, now my personal recommendation could be similar to what the total outcome after calculation of points. So, let's get started. Now, I got two categories, the weekend category and the daily category. So now let's start with the weekend category first. In terms of styling, the Rolls-Royce Wraith and the Dawn both get 10 out of 10. They are very iconic. They are Rolls-Royce. What is more left to say? And the Continental GT gets 8 out of 10. In terms of practicality, well, I think in terms of performance, Rolls-Royce is Rolls-Royce Wraith gets 9 out of 10 and the Dawn gets 8 out of 10, considering the Dawn is the slowest between the three. And the Continental GT gets the best, so it gets a full 10 out of 10. Very impressive, Bentley. Very good job. In terms of handling, these are not sports cars, but handling is important still. So overall, in terms of points, the Wraith and the Continental GT gets 7 out of 10 each. But the Dawn is a convertible, so it gets just 6 out of 10. So yeah, its own body style, it's slightly holding it back here. In terms of brand prestige, which is the prestige of the brand these vehicles belong to, and plus the prestige of the nameplates, no question, 10 out of 10 for the Wraith and the Dawn. They are iconic nameplates, there's no questions. The Continental GT gets 9.9 because it's such a Continental GT is a more common nameplate, so I'm not going to give it a full 10. 9.9 sounds reasonable for me. Now the big question, which out of the three are future classics? Out of 10 is the rating. The Dawn and the Wraith are already future classics with no controversies to talk about. So that means they get full 10 out of 10. But the Continental GT has always been controversial for being an Audi on a Bentley design language. So, which is not true, but I will say that. But I will say that. It's not. So I will give it 9 out of 10, but it's a classic. Just to report, it is indeed a classic. And just to correct, in terms of brand prestige, I gave the Continental GT 9 out of 10. I made a technical error when I said 9.9. So, just to report. So, overall, out of 50 points from the weekend category, Rolls-Royce Wraith leads the pack with 46 out of 50 points. And the Dawn and the Continental GT get 44 out of 50 each. So, this is going to get exciting when we go for the daily categories. So, in terms of daily categories, of course, you are talking things like facts. Let's get to the facts on in terms of interior. The Rolls-Royce Wraith and the Rolls-Royce Dawn gets 10 out of 10. There is no question about that. The Continental GT gets 9, not good as the Rolls-Royce, which is obviously, we know why. In terms of technology, yes, Bentley is better. Gets 10 out of 10. The twin Rolls-Royces, Wraith and the Dawn, gets 9 out of 10 each. So again, tech-wise, a bit behind Bentley, but I don't really care about tech. In terms of practicality, again, these are not big vehicles. The Continental GT and the Wraith gets 6 out of 10, but the Wraith gets just 5 because it's a convertible and the rear seats are smaller and the boot is even smaller. In terms of fuel economy, they are both not good. So what's bothering the point? But 2 out of 10 for the Wraith and the Dawn and 3 out of 10 for the Continental GT. So, yeah, they are not very frugal vehicles, but who really cares at this point? Then in terms of quality, which is a factor which I take quality of materials and reliability. The quality of the materials is so good that I won't even bother questioning it. I will give it 10 out of 10 for Rolls-Royce, for the Wraith and the Dawn. And of course, it's a case. And in terms of the Continental GT, gets 9 out of 10. Quality materials wise, great, but long-term reliability, questionable, but also not good as Rolls, so gets 9 out of 10. In terms of prestige, now prestige is what I want to say how our owner feels after the purchase is being made. That's the difference between brand prestige and future classic status. This is about how an individual feels after the purchase. Rolls-Royce gets 10 out of 10 for the Wraith and the Dawn individually, and the Continental GT gets 9.9 out of 10. So yes, no question on that. In terms of points, the Wraith gets 47 out of 60, and the Dawn gets 46 out of 60, and the Continental GT gets 48 out of 60. But don't be think it's Bentley is better. Now for the overall outcome. Now this is the calculation I made after calculating all the points that every vehicle has got. The winner in terms of points is the Rolls-Royce Wraith, 95 points. In terms of points, runners up, Continental GT Speed, 94.8. Rolls-Royce Dawn has come third with 92 points in terms of points. Now you think, okay, Bentley is better than the Dawn. No, because this is my personal recommendation, or I call it the host's own recommendation. In my recommendation, the Rolls-Royce Wraith and the Rolls-Royce Dawn are the top 2 best options in the segment. If we ignore performance, fuel economy, things like that, then you get my point. There's no doubt it's the best in the segment. Those 2 are the best. But however, the Continental GT is a well-deservingly the 3rd best, which is no question. In short, Wraith and Dawn are the top 2, and the Continental GT is third best in my own recommendation. So thank you very much for joining me on this show. Thank you very much.